Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to In Your Circle on this fine Saturday. I'm Nikki, Kurt. We've got Angel and our special guest for the weekend. We've got Brian Kusko. Now, did I say that right? Is it Kusko?
You did. You did say it right.
Got it. I even watched other podcasts, so I was prepared to say it properly. I did my research, so I'm very excited.
I've been Kusko'd many times in life.
I bet you have.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of practice, but I've got it.
Yeah, the KU trips me up.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got it.
It just kind of depended on like what part of the Eastern Europe it was that you were in, because Kusko is correct in Russia, but our name comes from what used to be the Czech Republic, so it's Kusko because of that reason.
Very nice. Well, now we will never get it wrong.
Absolutely.
Because we practiced it. We are excited to have you on, Brian. We were talking backstage about one of the things that we really admire about you is your positivity, and that even in times where you are doing your videos and you're talking about things that might not be the easiest to talk about, you always are able to talk about those subjects and you find the silver lining in whatever it is. So we really appreciate that about you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's had a pretty decent track record with being able to do that for the most part. I mean, things get down sometimes, but I usually able to turn it around with perspective, right? Helps to have been through, helps to go through harder things. I'm probably going to get up a few times during this podcast just because of it's like a light sensor thing. I'm just going to run around until I find wherever.
Get the light to turn back on.
I don't know where it is. Like maybe it's way over here. There it is. Okay. Wow.
It is way over there.
I didn't realize I was going to have to go way over there to get the lights back on over here, but I guess we'll do that maybe 3 more times during this.
Well, the thing that is that your sound was still amazing, even when you were running laps.
Thanks to these.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, hard thing. I'm trying to make a point, even in this last couple of weeks. I've done this throughout life, but really making a point recently to just put myself in situations that are uncomfortable or that are uncomfortable, either physically or socially or just in general. So that I can be better at whatever might be thrown my way. I mean, for example, like doing things like going and talking in front of people, or going leading a group of people in front of people, which is not my MO. It's not like my nature is to go and hide somewhere under a hood or somewhere where I can't be seen. That's like what I naturally would want to do. I've really been seeking to get out of that, which I've done over the course of life, but really moving into spots where I'd be like, no, I don't think I want to lead this song in front of all these people about this thing with these kids and just do that and be like, okay, no, that's what I'm going to do because it seems like not just the right thing, but it'll also help me grow as a person. Things like that, including jumping into a freezing cold ice bath on a regular basis, is another thing I've been doing. Or just getting up at first thing in the morning and running 5 miles, even though it's not necessarily what I want to do. It's becoming a habit where I'm like, I almost have tricked myself that I do want to. Like, I'm going to get on stage tomorrow in front of like 500-600 people and lead a few songs in the morning. And that kind of makes me want to crawl inside of myself. And, but that's what I would have done in the past. And now I'm actually more looking forward to it, which seems really strange.
But also think how good you'll feel after.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll be a good, it'll have real positive impact, and it'll be more than just going on stage is one thing, but hopefully it'll be like everybody will benefit from what happens. So that would be ideal.
I have a saying about how people without adversity in their life are just boring.
So
you've conquered nothing, and you just kind of go through life like just mellow.
So adversity is good.
Yeah,
you gotta shake it up.
Adversity.
Yep. You gotta shake it up.
And then it helps you to do things. I mean, to your point, like some kids without their, not it's not necessarily the fault of their own. Maybe they just grew up pretty sheltered, where they're just kind of given everything, and then that does happen. I've seen it happen a lot. But then they get into a situation where, like, you wouldn't think it would be that hard, but in comparison to maybe what you've been through yourself, but for a kid that hasn't ever been given the opportunity to come up against adversity, and then all of a sudden, like, the biggest tragedy in their life is that they couldn't charge their phone that day, and the meltdown that can ensue is like, wow. It's almost like, I hope that I wish that somebody would have, but hopefully going forward, you'll have more opportunities to be put in situations where something that a lot of us might find so trivial, that it would seem as trivial to them, in that moment. They're like, oh, actually, it could be way, way worse than that.
Can. And I think we grow in discomfort too, right? Like, if you don't step outside of your box where things get a little bit prickly, you're never going to find that growth within yourself too.
Yeah.
So,
but you have to. There's also taking opportunity.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's opportunity, and you might feel like, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't know about that. But sometimes too, like, you might, this might be the only time I have a chance to do this. So, like, for me, I'm not a big fan of the water. Like, I'm just not a big fan of the water. And I had an opportunity to go whitewater rafting, and I went. And, like, all my friends and family were like, no way you did this. I can't believe you did this. No way. And I'm like, I got pictures and the video to prove it. And I went and I did it. But when I got in that boat, I was listening to everything he said, every instruction. I'm making it to the end. I'm not falling out this boat. And I just, every time he shot out a command, I did it. I was very focused. But I think that was a thing for me. I got out of my comfort zone, and I took it really seriously. I was like, I'm not gonna, screw this up, and because I'm scared shitless. Like, I just want to get through this, But it was fun though. It was great. It was a great experience. It was great. I could say I did it. I don't know if I'll do it again, but it's stuff like that though. Like, I could have said no, I don't want to do this, and I would have totally missed out. It was fun, terrifying, but fun all at the same time.
Yeah, I hear you. That makes me think of, like, back to when I was just a small kid. And it was just that same thing. Like, I haven't done this before. I don't want to do it. Like, I wouldn't go on the playground when there were other kids because it seemed scary out there. I don't know. I was like, 4. I would wait till all the kids left the playground before I would go on, because it seemed I was more comfortable if there wasn't anybody else running around. And I don't know how old I was when I did. It must have maybe sometime that same year at 4 years old, or the next year at 5. But so it's just one of those things. It's relative, right? It's like, oh, what, you can't go. Like, if you look at it, something like that now as an adult, there's still people that have those situations. Like, oh no, there's people there. There's no way I'm going. Like, I'm gonna wait till everybody's gone, and then I'll go when there's nobody that can see me or hear me, and it's unfortunate, but that does happen, and it's like you said with the opportunity, Angel, like that. You're closing yourself off to so many opportunities. If you're not willing to go out there and put yourself out there a little bit. And granted, there is the truth that you can get hurt, emotionally, physically, like, those are all possibilities but I think that the opportunities that arise when you do put yourself out there just that little bit more are greater than the chance of potential harm, whether physical or emotional. I think that the ultimate harm would be done by staying inside, by not putting yourself out there, never getting a chance for those opportunities, and living through life in a little scared lane of inexperience. And yeah.
But you know what too? It gives more to your story, It adds more to your story versus just going home and watching TV.
True.
I went out because that's probably what I would have did. I would have, or played video games or something at the time, whatever it was, just years ago. But I have a story to tell, and there was more to that story because, of course, you get to the place, the people that you're with, the people that you meet, everything that happens in the entire day. That's a whole story versus me just not doing anything.
Yeah. I mean, a big part of how I ended up in it, like, even the fact that you guys probably wanted to have me on, like, that I got into this space, was from just a small moment like that. You know, I was, what was that, 2015? I was 34. That's crazy. So I was 34 having that same 4-year-old experience of like, nah, I'm not gonna go up there. I'm not gonna go talk to that guy. That seems crazy. Like, I want to go take a picture and I'm just gonna walk away. And then because it seems too crazy to like actually introduce myself as a person and like have that conversation. And then I literally did like laps and laps around, like just like kicking myself in that, like, dude, are you really like that lame? Are you really 4 years old again? Like, you can't go just talk to this guy.
Yeah.
This guy. And
It's very easy to get into that headspace. Even
Yeah.
like for us reaching out to you, we were like, oh, I don't know. He like, to us, you're one of our idols. We look up to you. It's like, I don't know, is he going to respond? Let's check it out.
He did,
But we knew you were going to respond.
because you're a nice guy.
the timing was good too. Well, also giving me like the options for you know, like out in the future, because it's been pretty busy and hectic. But he giving me that option to like have, you know, look a few weeks or a month or whatever it was in the ahead and set a time that I can put it in the calendar. Like, okay, I can jump away for an hour there for this for sure.
So with this, let's say, like hesitation that you know, that's 4-year-old feeling, let's call it. Do you think that how the past few years have been, as far as like the reptile industry, your part in it, your interest in it, reptiles in general, all of this stuff that comes with, you know, what we do and with what you do specifically, do you think that is what really like kind of pushed you to kind of open up and be a little bit more, you know, more out there, or, you know, offer yourself up a little bit more?
I think so, because the more that I do that, as uncomfortable as it feels in the moment, and I'm still growing in that, you know, like I said, just the recent thing, how I feel, sorry, fumbling, how I feel like I'm just recently doing that. I think I've actually been doing that my entire life, and taking small baby steps of it, you know, not just jumping into a crazy thing, but like easing myself into that ice water, if you will, versus just like plunging in. But I've been able to open up pretty well, actually. Yeah, you know, there's not really anything at this point about me. There might be a couple. There's always something. I think that's the cool thing. Is there's always something. My wife would always, even a few years back, you know, when I was first on the vlog channel, she would say, "Yeah, you gotta, like, you don't want to think you need to like keep some stuff like you know, a mystery." And I was like, "Oh, there are." I know I've been fairly open, but there's still stuff. And every now and then that comes out when somebody asks me a question, and sometimes it's hilarious. Sometimes it's really healing, you know, some kind of like past trauma that I've been holding on to that I don't realize how much it had affected me, and then just getting out there and being able to talk about it instead of like keep it hidden because of the shame that would come with it. And be able to talk about that stuff is very, very helpful. And yeah, I find, to answer your question, Angel, yeah, I find the more that I do that, it's like there's this little lie that the devil will tell you in your head that you put that out there, you talk about something real with you, somebody's gonna hate it, they're gonna not like you, and your life's gonna get really bad, and everything's gonna be really horrible if you really share who you are, when that's just not true. Like if you're honest and you put yourself out there, chances are there's plenty of people who can relate to exactly what it is you're talking about, because we're all having very similar human experiences, you know, as different as they can be. There's a lot of similarities between a lot of people's experiences as humans here on Earth. Like there's just so many similarities that we share, that when you just start sharing about that stuff, and it's happened every time. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Like every time I do that, every time I open up about something where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I really want to post it. Like I'll record a video and think, oh, am I really gonna just hit publish on this? Because I just really kind of bearing some stuff that was kind of dark for me, and I don't know if I really want to share that. But I recorded it, and every time I just kind of get over, it's like, oh, there it goes. And every time, just like the amount of people that come in, either commiserating or like feeling supported or feeling heard, even though it was me talking, you know, to have somebody come up to you at a show and grab you and hug you with this like soul touching hug and tell you that like some of the stuff you said helped them overcome their biggest struggles they've ever been having in their lives, and just have those moments and just realize that you're actually connecting with real people when you do that. And by sharing those things, you are actually helping folks. Then it makes it a lot easier to do time and time again. And I still try to be careful because it's different than just having a one-on-one conversation with somebody. Like you're not getting the immediate feedback. You can't see the facial expressions. It's like the polar opposite of that. It's putting it out into this. Anybody is going to watch it and have their own interpretation on it. So I do try to be as clear as I can, even though I don't think I'm the strongest communicator on the planet. Like I think I'm actually far from being a super strong communicator, but I'm working on it. And the more honest I am in those moments, I think that the better I communicate, even if I'm stumbling over my words, or even if I'm not saying the exact things that, because in my head, I'm like, not Walter Cronkite, but who's that British guy that gave really good, Churchill. Like in my thoughts, I'm Winston Churchill. When I start talking, and I'm like Barney Rubble or whatever.
I think that's also part of like, I think it's also part of like being an adult. Like when you're an adult, you feel like you have these odd, you know, like almost like emotional things of like, you know, I'm a grown up. I can't, you know, or like I don't need to share that. I could deal with that myself, or, you know, or who's going to listen to me anyway, or, you know, it's this weird thing. Like you feel like you can't share because of our own fear of the feedback we would get for sharing.
Yes.
And
exactly.
too, I think sometimes when you share things in like, even I'm thinking for myself, sometimes I think it could be a sign of weakness. And I'm like, I don't want to seem like I'm weak. I want to be strong, but you have to have those conversations because that's what helps you get through it, right? And heal through it and grow through it. So.
Yeah. That's why I don't say shit.
You don't.
I'm kidding.
He does sometimes.
The lighting's still kind of cool, even with though it went out.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
it looks pretty good.
You don't have to run laps. You're good.
Yeah, you know what? It feels good though. I can still hear you. You can still hear me.
There you go.
Like,
you go to get your jog in.
It keeps me moving. This is also something that's very helpful for me. Like if I just sit still and don't do anything all day, like and it compounds. Like even it becomes like if I sit still for a whole hour, it's like, oh no, what have I done? So moving definitely helps me to keep things fresh, keep the brain working, get that oxygen pumping, make the thoughts clearer. Yeah.
I got to give a shout out to the community you've built. When one of the last videos you posted, I think it's probably been 2 weeks, but you reached out and you said you were having a tough time, and the amount of support that came back into you was amazing. And then the next video you had commented about how much you appreciated that, and that's something that I would like to see more of in this hobby. People being real, people being honest, and just telling it how it is, because that's how it is for the majority of us, I feel.
Yeah, there's definitely moments that come in, and it was cool to, it's definitely a blessing to have as many people to talk to as I do, and then sometimes there's moments, I don't know if I talked about this part in the video or not, but just like sometimes feeling overwhelmed of how many people I do have to talk to. It's like, that's a silly circle to get your head in. Like that's a huge blessing and shouldn't be thought of anything other than, but sometimes like overwhelming how many people I could possibly talk to. But that's not how I feel right now. But there was like a brief moment of that in, when you get in that little dark mode, then everything starts to seem like it could be a burden, no matter what it is. But yeah, that's not how I feel right now for sure. It's great to have so many people to reach out. I mean, the one thing I feel bad about sometimes is like I definitely don't have time to reply to everybody that reaches out, and like so I feel bad, in those moments. So it's like, dang it, I haven't got back to this person yet, or I was about to check my phone just to see if I'm like talking to you on it. But it's like just like even not but I'm getting better at that. I'm getting better at being okay with even like people that I consider pretty close friends in the hobby, like Jeremy Turgeon at Brassman Reptiles texted me today. I haven't texted him back yet, but I might not be now that it's gone past like the morning, and like it could be till the next time we have a phone call, or we might see each other. We might see each other at a show before we have text, because he didn't have anything of like super consequence, but just like just saying he was in a recent video I was doing, a recent interview that I put out, so he was just like making a joke about what we talked about in the video. So I was like, I knew why, I was like, oh, he watched the video that we just posted last week, and he's doing that. So it wasn't like, oh, I need to reply to that right away, especially since I was in the middle of something. But then that happens a lot, and not just text messages, but then there's emails and there's Instagram, and I just, yeah, I'm getting better at not feeling bad just because I didn't have time to call. I still got so many people I need to call back. Clint at Clint's Reptiles called me last week or something, like shortly after that video, and said he had something important for me. I still haven't called him back yet. And I know it's because there's something that needs to happen in the future there that is, I mean, Clint's a really good friend. We've had some really close moments, and just, that's funny. It's a blessing, like I said, to have that type of stuff. And I know that, and here's the other thing is like, I don't, when I want to reach back and like connect with folks, I don't want it to just be like a quick boom and then I got to rush out. So like I'm almost like waiting for that moment, like when I know I'm going to be driving somewhere far, which I was supposed to last week, but it ended up getting canceled, because that's like my big time to have conversation. That's my office. I say, I can't edit anything. I could put the camera up and talk to it for a little bit. That doesn't usually last too long, like 10, 15 minutes. But that's why I really like to have my phone calls with people. But then I find out like, I'll probably, on those drives, I'll drive like, probably 6 hours in a day, but that's not enough time to talk to all the people that I need to talk to. Especially since like locally here, we've really built up our community locally here, which is something I haven't had since Hawaii, really. Since we moved back to California, we moved down here. I didn't really know anybody. I met a couple of dudes that I played in a band with, and we were cool there, but we weren't really tied in with the local community too much at all. I mean, there's a local turtle club. There's a couple things, but now we're like, our family is like immersed in the local community, like, and it's growing more every day. So then there's that as well. It takes away from those phone call times, which again, definitely not complaining about any of this. It's just one of those like first world problems that is amazing to have. It's like one of the most amazing problems I could ever think to have. Is like there's so many people that I get to connect with that are so awesome, so many awesome people. And that comes from being willing to put yourself out there a little bit, and then somebody sees a real person, and then you connect and you click and you become friends, and that's been happening a lot, and I love it. And there was sorry, I saw you posted a comment before too. I missed it because I was blabbing.
I'll post it back up there.
Oh, that's okay.
You can see it. You weren't blabbing. That's what this is all about.
Which I think I'm making up for lost time, because oh, thanks, Banna Fields.
Yeah.
Thanks. I used to not talk like for a lot. I would go to parties, in like high school or like teenage years, or even in probably 20, and I would say nothing. I would just observe. I was just a silent observer. Even when I was hanging out with my friends, like we'd just hang out and just listen to everybody talk. I might put a word in, like literally like a word in an evening. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And now I talk way too much.
No, you don't.
No,
He's making up for lost time, man.
You are.
Yeah, it's probably true. I saw somebody ask about Hawaii tie. Yeah, I lived in Hawaii for about a decade. It was pretty sweet little decade there. Yeah. Played in a band, met my wife, and it was a good time. That's where the aloha comes from. I wasn't just because I like the way they say it. I lived in it for a decade. It was a very influential decade on my life. Lots of aloha! I just love to hear it. I used to work at this, not work, but I used to sell. I do like photography. I learned photography for a bit, and before I got video stuff, and I would sell my stuff, my landscape stuff on metal prints down at the Aloha Farmers Marketplace at Aloha Stadium in around Blaisdell, the big stadium there in Honolulu. And there's this guy, this big local guy that sold Hawaiian sweetbread, and you could it was like the marketplace was like all the way around the outside of the stadium, and you couldn't hear him from the other side of the stadium necessarily, but if you were getting close, you knew you were getting close because he would just be there all day and be like, Hawaiian sweetbread. He's like this like super loud booming voice. You could hear him from so far away. And I just think about that guy every time I say it. Not every time, but he just when I said it just now, it reminded me of that guy. It took me back to that moment at that marketplace. Just like, yeah, it was cool. It's a cool place.
Oh. Sounds like you've had some great experiences.
Oh,
that's for
yeah. Sure. Yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of fun, wild rides. Like lots of really fun times, lots of really wild times, lots of really dark and horrible times, which I'm very thankful for because they give me perspective of how, like, one of my common responses, just in small talk, like grocery store or whatever, and it's like, oh, how's it going? I'm like, had worse. Right. And I don't mean to be like dark about it, but it's true. It's like I'm just standing in a grocery store, like things are going pretty well.
Yeah. That's true. Oh man.
There was a fun one. I mean, you want to talk about some fun experience? I don't know if there's too many stories I could share. I don't know what this is the first one that popped in though when you said that. Like a lot of fun experiences. Playing in the band. We were on a tour going through Northern California, and we're driving up Highway 101 through Mendocino County, and we had this handy van. It's like a 13-passenger. I don't know if you can see a handy van. Like they use it for hotel shuttles or for sometimes car rental shuttles or whatever. They got the little 13-passenger and the little handle, and they can open up the side door over there. We had that for a tour, which was pretty cool. I liked it. It was a good vehicle. You can load all the stuff in the back, and then plenty of seats for everybody and a lot of space, and it was great. And we're rolling up Highway 101, and at this point, it was a reggae band, reggae blues band, and pretty much everybody had like doobies going, like big ones, and there's just like smoke going out the windows. It's just ridiculous. Like I was like, I was in the vehicle, I knew it was happening. I was like, this is ridiculous. and we're going, and we're listening to Parliament Funkadelic. Like I think it was like Flashlight was like doom 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 doom, and we're just rolling down the highway, and I'm like hearing in the back of my, it's Parliament Funkadelic, so I'm just not thinking much about it, but I do hear this like,
oh no,
but it's like just it's distant, like under the music, it's like almost part of the track, and it's like, and I'm sitting, I think I was sitting. No, there was no shotgun. You couldn't sit shotgun because there was only the driver's seat there. I was sitting behind Ryan. Our bass player was driving. And he goes, "Oh, we're getting pulled over." I was like, "Oh, no, that's not good." And so he pulls over, and the both officers come up, and they come to the passenger side, right, because it's on the highway, and so we come up there, but we don't have windows rolled down. He just has to open the whole double door. Like that, and they just walk on the bus. and our guitar player, to his credit, like he had his medicinal card, and so he ran up to the front with his card and the jar that he had full of cannabis. He's like, "Here, this is like this is the first thing he did." He just walked up there. But for the first day stuff, I'm like, "Hey guys, we've been trying to pull you over for about 10 minutes."
Oh no.
And they were so cool. Like they asked, and Adam came up, like I said, with the with his card and everything, and like, "You guys sure you don't have like 20 pounds back there and all that musical equipment?" Like, like, "No, that this jars. That's all they had." And they were just like, "All right." And they did the little DUI test on Ryan and said that I needed to drive. I wasn't smoking. I was just along for the ride as usual, but. Yeah, that was a fun one, and that was one of the more mellow experiences, I would say. But that's why it was so fun. It was like, wow, that was so mellow. It could have been so much worse.
Could have been.
Right.
There's a core memory right there.
Yeah, yeah. Not like the time when we'd be rolling through Nevada, and you know, it was pretty back when it was, you know, the laws have changed a lot since then. But at the time that we were rolling through Nevada, I think like if you had a seed, it would be like prison time, probably, or something like felony. So Adam was pretty adamant about like nothing. We will have nothing here. Nobody has anything. You're not allowed. Take it out of the car. We're not traveling through Nevada. But yeah, those were some good old days, rip roaring across the touring in a reggae band.
Aw.
I think Wyoming is still that way, where you can't have anything.
We did
One
pop
of the-
into
one of the
Wyoming.
guys-
We did pop into Wyoming on one of those. So we hiked across the. I think we were in Montana, like maybe Missoula or something, and then we went on a hike and we hiked into Wyoming, I think, on a hike. That was pretty cool. That was when you could when the Montana speed limit was just a sign that said drive safe.
Right.
Yeah. Where are you guys at? You're in Washington.
Yep,
Yeah,
we're all in Washington.
We're north. He's south.
Yep.
That's actually where we started the band. I don't know why I'm talking about the band so much. Those are some old days, but that is where we started the band. Was in Washington.
Ah, what
Port
part
Angeles.
of Washington?
Port Angeles.
Port
Okay,
Angeles.
that's a cool spot.
That was pretty sweet. Pretty sweet little town. We were like, yeah, that was a fun time.
So like, sorry, not to sidestep. I know.
No, please do.
Let's
Let's talk about something else.
I was actually going to ask you about your experiences with Freedom Breeder, with Jesse and them and whatnot, and like, that seems to be like this long relationship, you know, and you know, and I was curious if when you're doing the filming and with them on and off screen, when you were filming for Jesse and things like that and whatnot, like what was that like? What's that like? Like how's like I guess more or less was that something that helped you do this too? Was helping him do videos and then doing your own at the same time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started doing my videos first for sure. And I remember the first time I turned the camera on myself, it was maybe after I'd done like 10 or 12 videos or something. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm going to talk to the camera, like with my face. So I was doing how long was I doing? I think I was doing the videos for a couple of years on YouTube before I started doing the Freedom Breeder channel. It was 2017, 2018, something like that. Cause I started in 2015 and it was 2017 or 2018 when I started working with Freedom Breeder. But I knew them, like they were some of the first people I met. I mean, and to answer your question, like it's cool. Like it was a family. It still is family. Like Freedom Breeder, the Freedom Breeder family is my family. Like they're family to me. Like it's. I mean, there's business, there's work. I'm really bad about separating the two, which some people say you're actually really good at business. I'm like, how? And it's just because I don't know. I guess they have a point to a point maybe. I'm not good at separating like personal and business really well. Like I don't want to be in business with folks that I don't like, and that I'm not friends with. So I don't have a very good separation there, but I think that ends up making it work well for me because I don't get into situations where like we're going to still stay friends no matter what happens. And that was a blast. So I'll tell you how I even came to know them. So when I moved back from Hawaii and decided I was going to keep snakes again, I obviously dove into finding all these ball python morphs. And I was like, whoa, what is this? A pied ball python? I actually got my first ball python when I moved back from Hawaii from the same place where I got my first snake when I was 4 years old, which is the East Bay Vivarium out here in Berkeley, California. And so I went there, and now there's the internet, and I'm like researching through there, watching YouTube, finding Kevin McCurley and Snake Bites and Mike Wilbanks and Brian Gundy and all the other channels that were there, which wasn't a ton, but they're any snake channel basically. I was checking them out and seeing what was happening back there in 2014. That was, and through all that research, I got Kevin's book, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called. It's the big old thick ball python book, like the ultimate ball pythons. You know, it's like looks like it's like literally that thick, and there's like all kinds of pictures. And he worked with a veterinarian on it, so they did some cool talk about the genetics and learning like the proper terms for some of the genetics and all that stuff. But in that book, he talks about Freedom Breeder and Freedom Breeder rack systems and stuff. And so I'm reading this book. I'm like, oh, okay, so this guy seems like he's pretty knowledgeable. That seems like the way to successfully house and eventually breed multiple ball pythons. So I just went online again. That was like it's fun to have grown up without the internet. To like compare it, like keeping snakes as a kid without the internet, and then all of a sudden, oh look, there's all kinds of people that keep snakes, and then so I just Freedom Breeder, and I was like, okay, there's that little 10 by 10 1010 FB 1010. I was order it. I'm gonna get it. There we go. Boom, ordered it. And then the next day, it was Jeff at the time, Lindy's other son, was running the business, and he called to figure out the shipping. That's like, I think they still do it like that to this day with the racks. Like you place the order, but then you have to figure out shipping because it's the freight and everything. And so he calls and he's like, hey, where are you at? I was like, oh, I'm just here in Livermore because I was in Livermore when I first moved back, staying with my parents. And he just goes, yeah. So looking at your rack, and I was thinking my dad could probably drop it off on his way home from work, and that would be easier than shipping it, and it would save you on the shipping. I was like, oh. Yeah, I had no idea where they were. I didn't realize that like his dad would be driving right through Livermore to get home from the shop in Turlock. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's save on that shipping. And then it didn't work out that he could stop by because I was having dinner with my grandparents or something. And so I ended up just driving up later that night to Lindy's house up in Danville and just pulled in there. And the next thing I know, I'm like standing in the driveway of the guy who I was just reading about in a book as like bringing all these ball pythons into the country. And he's telling me about how they named the spider ball python into the garage right here that we're standing in talking. And like, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like I was just reading about this guy in a book. Now I'm standing in his garage and he's telling me the stories. And then from then on, like I got a couple more snakes, and then I drove out to the shop and hung out with them there and forgot my wallet. So I had to come back. And we just kind of became friends. And at one point I was like, maybe I can trade, like take some pictures for the website for a coral glow pied ball python. That would be really cool. Like, that seemed like it'd be a good trade for us. And we did that. So we worked together for a while before there was like an official sponsorship thing happening. And to answer your other part of the question was like, what was it helpful to make this, what I do happen? Very much so, because they were the first and only sponsor of what I was doing on YouTube for like 5 or 6 years. And that's a huge shout out to Garrett Hartle, Reach Out Reptiles, because he was the one that like sat down at Tinley one time with Lindy and was like, you guys really like Brian. Brian's pretty cool. You guys should sponsor him. That would be awesome. That would really work, I think. And I was like, he said it. It was like, and then the scariest time, one of those scariest moments of my life, like after Garrett had like set that up, was when I drove up there to like talk to them about it, like what it would look like and what I think I would get and how that would all work. And I was like, I hate this. I'm not good at that. I don't like business stuff. I don't like talking about how much money I think you should give me for whatever. Like I'm not comfortable with that. But I had stuff pretty well drawn out, and I was like, I remember, I think you had called Garrett a couple times, like while I was there, like talking to him, like, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going well. I don't think it's gonna work. And it was like, because he like set up this like softball for me. Here you go, Brian. I'm the sales guy over here. All you got to do is like, hit the ball. I just lobbed you. I'm like, I can't.
Nah, you just needed a pep talk. That's it. That's it. You just need a little pep talk.
Little
right
pep
back
talk.
in.
Well, I had these different options right now. Yeah, I had at least like the different levels. Like at this level, this is what we could do. And at this level, this is what we could do. And then this would be the big level. We could do this this would be the big thing. And they're talking about, maybe we could do this to start out, maybe we could do that to start out. I was like, yeah, but I think like the big thing is really what we should do. And I still sounded like in the moment when I said that, it sounded like somebody else talking. I was like, it's not the guy that's like, we should do the biggest one. Let's do the biggest one. And then even after that, like they bumped it up more, later down the road, like a percentage every year or whatever. And I was like, wow. So
Yeah, but you saw something in that. That's what it was. Like I think it sounds like during that conversation, you might have been down here with, some hesitation, and then you realize, you know what, this is the one. Like if we're gonna grow, or if this is gonna work, this is the best thing, and you just confidently went out there, and clearly it worked.
yeah, and the cool thing was that after I did that, every year, it's changing right now, which is kind of scary. But every year from the year I started doing it, the income of the company doubled every single year after that. So that was pretty cool to see that there was an effect. Yeah, I mean, our economy is changing right now, so it's not what it was. Like COVID was the big boom for everybody, right? And it's kind of been nobody before that year had that year, and I think nobody after that year has had that year again.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, Freedom Breeder. I was actually supposed to go up there the other week, but then Jesse forgot he had something happen, and so I'm going to be going up there on Wednesday this week.
I be honest with you, I just a couple months ago got my first Freedom Breeder rack.
Nice. All right,
So,
good.
I got one of the Pro Line. That Pro Line. It was quick. Not quick. I'm not gonna say it wasn't quick to put together. I did it by myself, but it was. It was easy. I love this thing.
Which models you get?
5540, 5040.
Okay. So it has the 1040 tubs.
The 1040 tubs. Yes.
Okay.
And it's the 40. It's 10 tall, and it's 4. I got that one, and it is a dream.
Yeah, it's nice and smooth.
Dream.
Did it have did you, on the center parts, like on the center rails, did you do, was it just like tap-in rivets, or was it pop rivets?
No, it was the pop rivets.
Okay.
Yeah, it did it, the whole thing. Took me a couple days to do, but honestly, it's great. I can't complain. It's perfect for what I needed to do, for where it is, where it fits, the whole nine. Everything's perfect.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I like them too. Which, I mean, some people like the classic, the Pro Line, or the original, or whatever, which are cool, and I have those too. But I actually prefer the Pro Line myself. They're maybe not as, they're pretty dang sturdy. It's not welded corners. It's the plastic corners instead, and then you put it together, which is why you save money on them. But that's probably the way that I think most people go.
It's damn sturdy. I'm not gonna lie, it's damn sturdy.
Yeah, I mean, I still climb on it.
I've seen other ones. Again, like we were talking before, I've been doing this for a long time, and I remember some of the early rack systems and such. Like I remember the Neodesha ones that was just a frame, then you just slid these like bread box looking things in onto this frame. There's no way you were holding on to that and pulling yourself. That whole thing's gonna fucking come down.
Oh, yeah,
this thing, I've already done it. Like I was behind it, and I was trying to fix something, but the wheels are locked. So I just grabbed it and I just pulled myself up, and I was like, yeah, this shit ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I climb them all the time. I mean, when I was trying to fight that berm out of there, I was literally like hanging on the rack like a monkey, like this, like with the snake, and like.
They're sturdy. They're sturdy as hell. Easy to clean. That was the thing. It was the thing that sold me on it was the lid part, the grating part, how it just slides right out to clean. Like that to me, versus having to reach all the way in to clean. I don't want to do that.
I just had a flashback to like one of the first videos I filmed at Freedom Breeder. It was just a vlog, but we were taking pictures of the rack. I was getting 360 shots of the racks. Like when you go on the website, you can hit the little thing, you can see the racks, right. Make the rack spin. That was Lindy and I. That was cool. Lindy's a cool guy, man. He's very like old school. Like we're gonna build stuff. We built this giant product turntable for the racks, and that's cool. I literally just took what I ended up doing was just taking a video of the rack spinning and then pulling out 30 pictures of the still frame of the rack spin. I mean, it's literally on this big. We built this huge stage with a ramp to roll the racks up onto this thing on this giant turntable so that the rack would spin, and I could just take a video of it spinning behind a black background in space and just look like it was just spinning in space. And the trick was you definitely had to get the rack centered and lock the wheel. And we had little like chalk blocks that you stick underneath the edges, because when you're rolling on there, I mean, it was just this little like steel disc about this big that we bolted, a frame to with plywood that it was spinning on. So that it did have some play like that when you're rolling on. That's why we built the ramp, so you could roll it up on there. And then you had to get it centered, lock the wheels, so that when it spun, then when it started spinning, it doesn't like roll to one side and then tip. Some really smart guy, who usually checks every step of the process, didn't lock the wheels for one of the racks. And so I'm filming it, and you see it going, and all of a sudden you see like start to drift, and then it falls over and crashes, like the whole rack just, and takes out the compressed air system that was running against the wall there. It's just like this loud crashing stainless steel just. I got the video of it still, and we played it back, and then there's like, me and Jesse rolling to Home Depot, and we're having this little joke about, me and Jesse were having this conversation about how it's really hard to find good help. You gotta. But we fixed it. We got it fixed. We went to Home Depot, got some PVC. I sweated. I did. I fixed my own mistake. Thankfully, I was like, I feel bad. Luckily I know how to put, cut PVC and fit it together right. And we just kind of worked around where the break was and got the compressed air system back in gear. And it was a real testament to the rack, like you're saying. That's what made me think of it. The rack like went off this platform and just was demolished. Looked demolished, but we stacked it back up, put it back together, and it's fine. Yeah. Stainless steel.
That's what I think too. With like, if you ever see like racks that are being resold, they're sold for almost what they go for, because they last for such a long time. I mean, the only difference, I think the only wear and like things would be, with the tubs themselves, how they get dirty, and sometimes your rates get stuck and so on and so forth. But other than that, every time I see racks up for sale that are used, they're usually pretty high price, and then they sell quick. They're gone. Yeah, like they don't last. They don't last long shit.
Yeah, anybody can save just a few bucks. That's why they made the Pro line. It's like, we're trying to save people. That's the other thing I loved about the way they were doing it. They're constantly trying to improve it, based on customer feedback. Like if customer wanted something, they were always trying to like make the customer happy, and always willing to adjust and change their product to make it better for the people that were using them. And that's been awesome. It's tough to see it struggling right now because of like how strictly they held to quality about making everything built in the United States, and not outsourcing, to cut costs on quality. But that's tough. That's tough right now. Is that when so many different products are outsourced and can be sold for a little bit cheaper because of that, whereas they're just trying to barely keep this margin just so they can stay in business and still bring the best quality that's still, being made right here in California of all places. Is kind of tough.
It's interesting though too, like how they have their signature line, and then you have this Pro line, and I appreciate the Pro line because that frame, for the most part, that same frame can house different size tubs, and if you wanted to, at some point, you could remove that's the brace, slide it over for a bigger tub, or slide it. You have options, and even though it might seem like a pain in the ass to kind of drill out the thing and slide over, it's really not that bad, because once you do it, you're not going to need to. You're not switching it up every couple of months.
Yeah, especially compared to what you're going to end up saving on cost of like having to, if you wanted to get a whole new rack system, with it fit different size tubs. That's a crazy expense versus just, like you said, drilling out a couple of rivets, repositioning the sliders, and there you go. You've got a new style rack just with a little bit of manual labor.
It also kind of shows that they're not set in one style, that they're trying to grow, change, move forward, do different things.
Yeah, Fruit Beer is cool, man. I really owe them. They supported me big time. Helped me get to where I'm at today. They were a crucial component to that company and that family.
They make good stuff. They've been around a long time.
92.
They clearly know what they're doing.
Yeah. And Lindy was one of the guys. He was going to he was like one of the guys, you know, that was bringing in a lot of the coral glow and the phenoxanthic stuff and like actually going to Africa and you know doing that whole journey. He was one of those guys right there with Barczyk and Ian Wachowski, I think. There's a handful of guys that were going over to Africa and doing it.
Ian G. I can't remember. Something like that. Yeah.
Wazowski or something. Outback, not Outback. Yes, Outback. I'm spacing on it right now. Lindy would know.
Oh, me too. I'm usually really good with the history of this stuff. Ask these guys, and I am blanking as well. So
you should get Lindy on. You should get Lindy on here, dude.
I'll remember later. I'd love to. I would love to. I'm huge on the history of this stuff. Having seen so much of it since the late '90s, and seeing, you know, like I did the White Plains show in New York for years, and I saw Nerd and BHB and, you know, lots of these guys doing that show, and for years and years and years, and they were very approachable. You know, they were very approachable. So
Kevin's a hoot too. You want to talk about it?
Kevin's great. Kevin's great.
It's hilarious,
Kevin's great.
Dude.
When I was a teenager, like he was great. Like I used to love going to Nerd's booth.
So he's like in every, for the last like 3 months, all the videos I've been putting out on Redline Report for the interview channel. He's like in every blooper, you know, almost, even if I don't put him in there, because like he was just trying so hard to mess with me, dude. There were moments he would stop, but I think I've got one more interview left from Tinley that I'm going to post this coming Tuesday, and I think I'm just going to post him coming on trying to roast me for 15 minutes straight. You know, he just came and sat down in the chair. He had already had his interview for the weekend, but he came back to the chair and just like going off and doing his little you know, East Coast guy shtick. And it was hilarious. Like it got pretty good for a moment there. It was he was mind blown because he thought I was just talking smack too, and then I'd say something. There was one thing in particular that he just thought I was going along with him, just making stuff up, and then I showed him the video of like, no, this happened. I'm not just talking. Like I showed him, and he looks and you can see his face change, like, whoa! I see this guy over here. I thought he was just. You can see like he almost broke character for like the rest of the thing because, yeah, it was fun. Kevin's a blast, dude.
I'm glad to see a lot of these guys still around. You know, Kevin definitely for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all evolves and changes over the next, I don't know, decade or so. Man, you know, seems like this is one of those times that it's changed a little bit, where it's not as big and booming, but I think it's good because, you know, if you don't really like it, then you're not going to stay in it if it's, you know, if it's not just an easy buck like I think it had been for a few folks.
I don't know. Years and years ago, it was you know, much financially bigger boom. You know.
Yeah. But even then, even with that, I still think like it's just not. You have to like snakes. Like you have to really like snakes because it's not like it's the easy. It's, I don't know. It depends on your mindset, I guess. I guess there's ways to just like hire employees, you don't have to touch anything and just run it like strictly like a business, and that can be done. But I don't know. That's not.
It all depends on how big you want to get and like what you want to do, and you know.
True.
Some people, and that some people is me. I like doing it all myself, you know. And I wanted that when I started. I wanted that Brian Barczyk BHB giant, huge facility type thing with a million different species. And then after a while, you know, for me, I realized I'm like, that's a lot of responsibility I have to give other people, and then I have to trust them to do all this stuff too. And personally, it's just I'd rather be a part of all the animals that I have. I like knowing what I have, who, you know, and
totally. That's a good example. That's a good example that you brought up though, and then like kind of ties back to what we started talking about in the first place, with like especially with Brian and what he ended up accomplishing through, you know, with the help of his team. I mean, he did have that, we're talking about stepping outside of the box and doing, something that's uncomfortable and maybe, and he definitely did that. And he was very uncomfortable with a lot of things, and he did get emotionally hurt, at times, by putting himself out there and having employees and trusting people and, having stuff stolen and big things like that. And like, he
and then
definitely
that's
had,
public too. Like,
right.
you have this YouTube show, you have these people in the show that are your employees or work with you and such, and then something big like that happens, and this was still like not like super social media time either, but when that had happened, but people knew, that's not so, like, he could have totally left it out and never mentioned it, never talked about it, but he didn't do that.
Yeah.
He didn't say the person's name, even though, he didn't go that crazy, but we all knew.
Right. Which to his credit, not to like, just like try and create some witch hunt, but also be honest.
He didn't bash. He didn't attack. He didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah. He did it the right way. But like, he went through that pain, but like what they ended up building by having a team, by putting himself out there, by being willing to have those people come in, and like his crew now, is just solid. It's just like that that aquarium should be open sometime this year, and like imagine what wouldn't have been if he just decided to not go that route of
Absolutely.
going after the uncomfortable, stepping outside the box, and
because it brought him into a whole different world. Like he was going to these YouTube parties, like there was. But what that also does is when you go into that world, you're exposing that world to our world. So there's and he was such a positive person and a knowledgeable person too. It's not just somebody who has a bunch of snakes, who got really big on YouTube, who but he had been around for so long. He had seen all of these things, and he was such a big part of the history of it all. To have him be part of this new generation of YouTube and so on, and then he's out there, and they're like, "Who are you?" And he tells them, and like, "How many millions of? Who are you?" And then now he's bringing these other people in to see the things that we grew up appreciating. That was really cool to see. And personally, having gone and done living in New York, being from New York, doing the White Plains show, and the conversations that I had, just walk up to and talk to him, like, he just talked to you. He would just give you information. It was much different than a lot of other booths I would go to, where they would just sit there like this and wouldn't tell you anything. So that, for me, seeing that, what he did on in YouTube and throughout, knowing that he was the same person then, giving out as much information about what he loved all the way through YouTube until right to the Reptarium and beyond. And his family is a testament to that as well, because Lori is incredible. And Noah's incredible what they're doing. Because Lori's been there since day one,
Yeah, she's a champ, dude.
Absolutely.
Well, our time is almost up, because I know you have to go sharply at 4:30. But before you have to go, this has been incredible. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about how you're going to come up to Pac Northwest up here in Puyallup just before you have to leave here.
Oh, yeah.
Big
shout out to Tyler at the Spider Shop.
Awesome.
He is actually the one, he's bringing me out. I met Tyler for the first time. He was coming through this way, and through Robin at Redline, we had made a connection. He's like, "Oh, you should check out this guy Tyler. He's pretty cool, and I think you guys should do some cool video stuff maybe." So he was rolling through my neck of the woods down here. Then he had a little bit of an issue, so we didn't end up doing a video. He had just some stuff he had to kind of keep moving. He had animals and stuff, and we got to at least meet briefly in the parking lot. And he was a little stressed out at the moment, but he was like, "I was like, I get it, man. That's a lot." Like I was like, I remember I did hint at him. I was like, moments like this usually make pretty good video. He was like, but I was like, but I get it. If you're already uncomfortable on camera, like, well, I get it. No, I'm not. That's not pressure. I'm just like suggesting that it could be good for video. But
yeah.
But so then we got to hang out again. He came to Tinley, and we got to hang out and chat. And he was on Redline Report, not too long ago. You can go check out that episode with Tyler, and we just kind of clicked. I just really like his vibe, and he opened up a lot on the video. It's really cool when you have somebody on a video interview and their kind of input thing is like, or their approach is, I'm not really comfortable on camera. I don't even know if I want to do this. And then next thing you know, we're talking through it, and like he just kind of opens up and like shares like deep parts of his story and how he got to where he's at and like the struggles of it and be really real about it. And which I always appreciate. I'm like, when somebody does that, I'm like, that's it right there, man. You're not giving into the shame of what could be felt from talking about the struggles that you went through, and instead of putting it out there so other people can know, because he's very successful. You know, he's doing really well up there. So well enough to bring me up for a show, you know, and so I'm excited to go up there and check out his shop and then go to that show too, because I have not been, like I said, I used to live in the Northwest and I haven't been up there in a long time. So it'll be cool to actually go for reptile stuff, you know, and I've got some friends up there as well that I haven't seen in a long time. So that, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Never been to that show. I think the first time I saw the show was, I think Brian was out there filming at it one time for Snake Bites a while back. Maybe I'm thinking of a different Northwest show, but I know there was definitely a show that Brian was filming at back in the day, old Snake Bite stuff, and there's like some wolf jumping on him. Anyway, I was like,
Well,
oh,
we're
it looks
excited.
like.
Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, no, I was like, it looks like it's cool. I'm excited to go. It's been a blessing to be able to go and check out some different shows. So I've been to a lot of the same shows, I guess. I've been to, you know, Tinley and Super Show, of course, and then like Daytona and Texas and like the NRBC shows, but I haven't got to venture out too much to other shows, other productions and whatnot. So I'm pretty excited to come check out another show.
It's a good show. There's a lot of, well, we have quite a few vendors. We have a pretty big community out here, and it gets pretty packed. Lately, you know, from the past few shows that we've done, it's been very busy. It's been very busy. You know, lots and lots of people, lots of new people, lots of kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's where it's at, dude. Get those kids stoked.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great having you on. Thanks for joining us.
Definitely. Yeah, thanks for having me
being here.
We hope you have a safe trip up here, and we look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, me too. Great. Seriously, thanks you guys for having me. It was a pleasure.
This was great. Thank you very much for joining us on a Saturday, and we hope you have fun at your family time this afternoon.
Absolutely. I'll see you next month.
Absolutely. All right, sounds great. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Take it easy.
Bye.